You wouldn't be alone in thinking that Nora Ephron, the writer of this scene,
and it's not because I'm lonely, and it's not because it's New Year's Eve. I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
This scene,
I wanted it to be you. I wanted it to be you so bad.
and this scene,
It's you.
It's me.
I saw you in the street.
Are you Annie?
Yes.
was a romantic sap that lived and breathed the so-called chick flick resurgence. I thought so too. Now consider the fact that instead, Ephron discovered that her husband was having an affair when she was 7 months pregnant with her second child. Leaving her heartbroken, heavily pregnant, and unable to continue her job as a journalist, she realised that her feminist mother's mantra that everything is copy would finally be of use. Ephron then penned her semi-autobiographical novel, Heartburn, about a thinly veiled version of herself and the aftermath of her husband's affair. When it was then turned into a film, starring Meryl Streep and Jack Nicholson, it was clear that Ephron was not only back and better than ever, but she was a staunch feminist that was about to break the romance genre.
Yes! 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 Oh! Oh! Oh!
Hi, I'm Erica Felton, and in this video essay I'm going to explore the ways in which Nora Ephron's feminist approach influenced the romantic comedy genre, specifically in her writing of female protagonists. All of this in the effort to answer the question, has Nora Ephron's stylistic trademarks on the rom-com genre made an impact on female protagonists of the 21st century? It's widely remarked that When Harry Met Sally set a new standard for what a romantic comedy's leading lady should look and act like. Sally Albright is a fast-talking, overthinking, and overtly calculated woman who knows exactly what she wants. Unlike female protagonists before her, Sally is no damsel in distress, and she's got the work ethic to prove it. This characteristic appears in most of Ephron's work, as she herself was a self-diagnosed workaholic who had to work hard to get where she wanted to go. As a product of second-wave feminism, Ephron was raised to work as hard as she could to prove herself in the male-dominated industry of New York journalism. Her job was her life, and it became a defining point of Ephron's protagonist because at her core, she wanted to see more women like her on screen. In 1985, Rob Reiner came to Ephron with a film titled Scenes from a Friendship, with the hope that she'd have notes on the concept. What ended up happening was that she came on board and rewrote the entire story into When Harry Met Sally. She listened, watched, and wrote with a sense of reality about her. It became clear that there was no better way to create a character who felt like a three-dimensional woman than to base it off of Ephron herself. As such, just like the woman that created her, Ephron wrote Sally Albright as a gung-ho journalist.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, you do.
This second-wave feminist emphasis on the workplace providing a source of happiness for women has continued through all of Ephron's works. Annie Reid is dedicated to finding out who Sleepless in Seattle is because
I am having all of these fantasies about some man I have never even met.
yeah, she might have the hots for the mystery man, but as a reporter, she's able to use her slightly stalkerish tendencies to get her a reporting assignment on the story. And Kathleen Kelly is devoted to her bookshop, which is the catalyst for her rivalry with Joe Fox, who's trying to shut it down. Now look at three prominent female rom-com protagonists of today. Bridget Jones from Bridget Jones's Diary, Andy Anderson from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and Rachel Chu from Crazy Rich Asians. One of the main focal points behind each of these characters' arcs are their careers. Bridget works in publishing, Andy is a fashion columnist that wants to write pieces with substance, and Rachel is an economics professor at NYU. Another element to note is that these jobs also drive the characters in a way that romance is only second to, which is similarly a trademark Ephron element. Bridget's chaotic life is illustrated in her inability to move her career forward and by her flirtation with her boss, which in turn drives the story forward. Andy dates Benjamin for the sole purpose of writing an article that she hopes will allow her journalistic freedom if it goes well. And finally, Rachel's career is the catalyst for a discussion of class for her to defend her modest upbringing to her boyfriend's family. They're all women who have to work hard to get where they want to go. Sound familiar? In Marsha McCready's book, The Women Who Write Movies, she states that the unifying element of all of Ephron's scripts is an original take on the familiar that makes it easy for the viewer to get in. Particularly the way Ephron wrote with a raw sense of realism through the guise of the protagonist's best friend. A major example of this is Sally's best friend Marie. Watch this scene.
He just spent $120 on a new nightgown for his wife. I don't think he's ever gonna leave her.
No one thinks he's ever gonna leave her.
You're right, I know you're right.
Carrie Fisher's Marie utters this mantra 4 times throughout the film.
You're right. You're right. I know you're right. You're right. You're right. I know you're right. You're right. You're right. I know you're right. You're right. You're right. I know you're right.
And every time it's uttered, those 8 words speak volumes to the length and breadth of their friendship. There is no need for exposition or a montage of the years they've been friends. In repeating this rhetoric, we understand that this has been said before and will most definitely be said again, just like old friends do.
Andy, that wasn't the Chinese. It's Mike. Mike! Yeah, what do we do? What do I do?
Talk to him.
Efron's dialogue is reminiscent of schoolyard conversations that were had by girls everywhere, of romanticizing the idea of love and that no matter what, your friends will always be there for you.
In reality, you're like a super sophisticated, smart professor of frickin' game theory. Show her that side of you, you know? You're right. Damn straight, I'm right. It's fake land, I'm always right.
So, have Nora Ephron's trademarks made an impact to today's female rom-com protagonists? In some ways, yes. Without her, the genre could very well have remained stagnant. The female protagonists we were gifted with in the early 2000s may not have had lives outside of their pursuit for love. Perhaps without Ephron, the impact wouldn't be as widespread as it is today, with stories now going well beyond the boundaries she set. After all, we can't forget that her films, however influential, were heteronormative and predominantly white. So there is still progress to be made.
No, he's not staying.
Essentially what Nora Ephron did was pave the way for women to break into the heavily male-dominated industry through the guise of being rom-com writers. It gave way to Mindy Kalings and the Tina Feys of this world. There will always be rules to break and equality to be fought for, but by putting the emphasis on female empowerment in not just the individual, but the workplace and the friendships a woman surrounds herself with, Nora Ephron put her stamp on the genre that I truly believe will live to stand the test of time.
It's just like you, Harry. You say things like that and you make it impossible for me to hate you. And I hate you, Harry. I really hate you.
What does this song mean? My whole life, I don't know what this song means.